From the moment you open your eyes to this world, you inherit a planet shaped by fire, oceans, and unimaginable forces older than humanity itself. And yet, most people believe they know the story of Earth simply because they stand upon it. But the truth is far more astonishing and far more fragile. This is Chronicles of Earth, where time becomes story, and today we travel back into the age when giants ruled the land, oceans shimmered with ancient monsters, and the sky trembled under the wings of the first creatures to master flight. Imagine a world hotter than anything we know today, a planet sculpted not by humans, but by volcanoes, drifting continents, and cosmic accidents. A world where life kept reinventing itself in ways so bold they challenge everything we think we understand about evolution. What if the rise of dinosaurs wasn't destiny, a lucky break born from catastrophe? What if their disappearance wasn't an ending, but the beginning of us? In the next few minutes, you'll witness the Mesozoic Era as you've never seen it, not as distant history, but as a living, breathing chapter of a planet constantly rewriting its own rules. Forests exploding with color for the first time. Oceans filled with predators that moved like storms. Skies taken by pioneers of flight, long before birds became what we know today. Every step on this journey leads to a deeper truth about Earth, the universe, and our place in the great chain of existence. If you're ready to travel across millions of years, question everything you thought you knew, and uncover the forces that shaped life long before humanity, then join us, leave a comment, subscribe, and activate notifications, because here, every story reveals a piece of who we are, and the Mesozoic hides lessons powerful enough to reshape how you see the world. The Mesozoic Era begins not with celebration, but with the quiet echo of devastation. Earth had just emerged from the greatest extinction event in its entire history, an extreme event that erased more than 90% of marine species and reshaped continents into wounded landscapes. The air still carried traces of ash, and the planet felt like a giant relearning how to breathe. Yet beneath the silence, life held its ground. Renewal waited patiently, as if the universe itself believed in second chances. In this fragile world, the history of the Earth turned a new and uncertain page. Volcanoes still hummed beneath the crust, their whispers lingering like fading memories of chaos, while the oceans shimmered with the first signs of recovery. Geological eras often reveal a pattern where destruction makes room for transformation, and this moment was no exception. Small creatures wandered across barren plains, unaware of the monumental era they were stepping into. The planet, though scarred, was preparing its next masterpiece. Gradually, the climate softened, allowing warmth to wrap the continents like a gentle promise. Rivers carved fresh paths through the fractured terrain, distributing minerals that would soon fuel an explosion of life. Science explains these processes, but imagination helps us feel the weight of this moment. This was not merely a turning point, it was a cosmic reset. Something powerful stirred beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to rise. As sunlight returned, it bathed the land in muted gold, revealing a world both ancient and newborn. Atmosphere stabilized enough for life to attempt new experiments, setting the stage for creatures unlike anything the planet had ever seen. This was a time when resilience dictated survival, and only the adaptable would flourish. The Earth, still healing, whispered through shifting winds that the next chapter would be extraordinary. Life listened, ready to answer. Tiny organisms, humble, unassuming, became pioneers of the future. These early survivors carried within them the genetic courage that would eventually shape giants. The oceans, still the great cradle of existence, nurtured new species with quiet determination. On land, plant life pushed through cracked soil, painting the world in tentative shades of green. And in those fragile leaves lay the promise of forests yet to come. It was a stage waiting for its actors. Slowly, ecosystems began stitching themselves together. Predator and prey relationships formed in simple but vital patterns, each interaction helping the planet gather momentum. This was the birth of a new planetary rhythm, a rhythm that would one day define the iconic age of dinosaurs. The universe, in its vast silence, had given Earth another chance to dream. The planet responded with life, bold and persistent. Every sunrise seemed to push the world further from extinction's shadow. The continents, still shifting in slow geological dance, created coastlines that invited evolution to experiment. Conditions stabilized enough for complex ecosystems to begin weaving the first threads of what would become the Mesozoic tapestry. Earth was becoming a planetary canvas again, ready for colors. Yet unseen, life sensed this invitation and began to flourish. Why the end of this fragile beginning? Earth was poised for a transformation unlike any before. The stage was set, warm climate, shifting continents, and resilient survivors ready to adapt. What followed would reshape the planet, dominate the history of life, and inspire countless scientific discoveries about the universe and the origin of life itself. Mesozoic Era had taken its first breath, and the world would never be the same. Life did not rush back all at once. It returned in careful steps, as if testing the strength of a planet still healing from catastrophe. The ecosystems that emerged were fragile, stitched together by species that had learned to endure scarcity, heat, and unpredictability. These early survivors shaped the foundation of a new chapter in the history of the Earth, proving that resilience can bloom even in the quiet aftermath of destruction. The world was relearning its own heartbeat, and life, patient and persistent, began to spread again. In shallow seas, simple organisms thrived first, using sunlight, minerals, and warm waters to rebuild biological networks from the ground up. Marine ecosystems became laboratories of possibility, places where evolution rehearsed what would later become the grand performances of the Mesozoic Era. On land, the first pioneers were plants that pushed through cracked soil, painting the continents with thin veils of green. It anchored the environment, attracting insects and small creatures. Ecosystems are not born, they are composed, layer by layer. As stability grew, species diversified. Some evolved hardened bodies to protect themselves. Others developed new ways to move, feed, or adapt. Every change echoed the lessons of extinction. Nothing survives unchanged. The planet's climate provided warmth, rainfall, and long intervals of calm, letting life spread confidently across expanding landscapes. These new ecosystems carried the memory of loss but the courage of renewal, and slowly they became the foundation for the age of reptiles and dinosaurs. Forests began to rise, dominated by ferns, cycads, and ginkgo-like trees that stood as symbols of endurance. Their roots held the soil, their leaves filtered sunlight, and their presence transformed barren plains into living sanctuaries in their shade. Insects buzzed, small reptiles scurried, and the first complex food chains took shape. These forests were more than habitats, they were breathing archives of evolution. And they foreshadowed the towering ecosystems to come. The continents, still shifting through the immense scale of geological eras, created coastlines, deserts, and river valleys that invited life to adapt in countless directions. Each new environment offered challenges and opportunities, shaping the destiny of species that dared to evolve. Dust carried the scent of distant oceans. Wind sculpted dunes and cliffs, and rivers carved arteries of life across the land. The planet was no longer silent. It moved, It breathed, invited creation in this expanding world. Reptiles rose as early architects of the coming age. Their bodies were shaped for survival, scales against heat, strong limbs for movement, lungs that thrived in warm air, explored forests, swamps, and coastlines, leaving tracks that would someday fossilize into messages from the past. Their presence signaled a crucial shift. Earth was preparing for an era ruled by creatures unlike anything the universe had ever witnessed. The groundwork was being laid. Marine life also surged with vitality. Ammonites spiraled through the oceans. Fish diversified into new forms, and coral reefs grew like underwater cities of color and function. These reefs became havens for biodiversity, guiding the evolution of predators and prey alike. Sunlight filtered through clear waters, illuminating worlds where survival was both art and instinct. And each tide whispered the same truth: life expands when given the chance. By the end of this transformative period, ecosystems had recovered enough to sustain larger, more ambitious species. The planet stood ready for the next leap in complexity, a leap that would redefine its landscapes, reshape its atmosphere, and dominate its timeline. The world no longer resembled the ruins that followed extinction. It had matured into a living canvas, vibrant, adaptable, and poised to welcome the giants of the Mesozoic. A new era was fully awake. Reptiles had already survived one of the harshest tests in the history of the Earth, and that resilience became their greatest advantage. As the planet warmed and ecosystems expanded, these creatures discovered a world built for them. Vast coastlines, dense forests, humid swamps, and sun-drenched plains. The Mesozoic was not merely a stage they entered, it was a stage shaped by their endurance. And evolution wasted no time in responding. Early reptiles explored every corner of the recovering world. Some remained small and agile, hiding beneath ferns or climbing the trunks of primitive trees, while others experimented with size, strength, and specialized diets. Their scales protected them from dry conditions, their lungs performed well under warm climates, and their eggs could survive without the need for permanent water. These advantages spread across continents, giving reptiles a head start that would define entire geological eras. Survival favored the adaptable in the oceans. Their cousins, the marine reptiles, began to rewrite the story of life beneath the waves. Ichthyosaurs sliced through the water with the speed of modern dolphins, their streamlined bodies crafted for hunting in sunlit seas. Plesiosaurs glided with long necks, and powerful flippers searching for prey in coral reefs that glowed like submerged gardens. The oceans, once dominated by ancient fish and invertebrates, welcomed these newcomers with vast, open space. Evolution responded with astonishing creativity. On land, crocodile-like reptiles ruled riverbanks and floodplains, testing new ecological roles long before the era's giants emerged. Some were swift predators, others relied on camouflage and patience. Their presence helped shape food webs, influencing the evolution of both prey and competitors. These creatures carried the memory of extinction in their blood, and it drove them to seize every opportunity. Through them, Earth's ecosystems gained structure, stability, and momentum. As time passed, competition intensified. Predators grew clever. Prey evolved defenses, and landscapes became theaters of constant adaptation. Warm climates allowed reptiles to remain active for long periods, transforming them into key players in every biome. The forests echoed with movement rustling, leaves snapping branches, and the subtle tremors of life learning how to thrive again. Seed plants and conifers rose as partners in this expanding world, providing shade shelter and new habitats for reptiles to explore. These towering trees defined much of the Mesozoic scenery, creating vertical ecosystems that offered endless evolutionary directions. Insects flourished among their branches. Birds would someday arise in their canopies. And early mammals found refuge in their shadows. But for now, reptiles reigned with quiet certainty. Their age had begun. Fossil evidence from this period reveals a planet reinventing itself through trial and innovation. Tracks preserved in hardened mud show reptiles testing new gaits and behaviors, while skeletons reveal anatomical experiments that hint at future giants. The Earth was a living laboratory, driven by heat, time, and the relentless push of survival, and reptiles, with their unmatched adaptability, were the perfect candidates for this experiment. They were evolving towards something monumental. By the close of this transitional age, reptiles had secured their dominance on land, in water, and even in the air through early gliding species. The stage was fully set for the arrival of creatures that would come to symbolize the very essence of the Mesozoic. The dinosaurs, their ancestors, stood ready. Ecosystems were stable, and the planet itself had prepared the ultimate canvas. The next chapter would reshape Earth, the universe of life, and humanity's future understanding of the origin of life on this planet. A new dynasty was about to awaken. The emergence of dinosaurs was not an overnight revolution, but a gradual unfolding of potential hidden within earlier reptiles. As climates warmed and ecosystems stabilized, these remarkable creatures began to appear as modest figures, small, agile, and far from the giants they would become. Yet even in their early forms, they carried the traits that would redefine an entire chapter in the history of the Earth. Evolution had set the stage, and the actors were ready. Something extraordinary was beginning. These early dinosaurs walked on strong limbs that lifted their bodies off the ground, granting them speed, agility, and new perspectives on the world around them. Their hips and legs supported elegant strides, while their lungs and circulatory systems adapted efficiently to the warm Mesozoic climate. They were built for endurance in a planet shaped by heat and opportunity. Their potential wasn't loud, it was patient. And in nature, patience can become power. In the Triassic landscapes, they competed with other dominant reptiles, testing their strength in deserts, floodplains, and forests filled with cycads and conifers. Some species rose onto legs, watching predators from afar, while others developed strong jaws for hunting or defense. Each evolutionary step was a whisper of the future, a sign that these creatures were destined for something greater. Survival demanded versatility, and dinosaurs delivered it with quiet brilliance. As time passed, ecological pressures sculpted dinosaurs into increasingly diverse forms. Predators honed their instincts, refining speed and precision, while herbivores expanded in size, developing long necks, powerful limbs, and complex digestive systems to handle tough plant life. This diversity transformed ecosystems, influencing the paths taken by insects, early mammals, and even plants. Dinosaurs were not merely participants, they were architects of their world, and their influence grew with every generation. The continents themselves shifted in slow, massive movements, shaping climates that favored dinosaur growth. Warm temperatures, abundant vegetation, and vast open landscapes offered the perfect conditions for expansion. It was as if the planet had been preparing for them all along, aligning geological eras and environmental changes to support their rise. Earth became a canvas, and dinosaurs painted it with presence, scale, and majesty. Their age was truly underway. Several lineages branched out across the planet, each exploring distinct evolutionary possibilities. Some became swift hunters with sharp claws and keen senses. Others focused on strength, bulk, or towering height. Their adaptations responded precisely to the extreme events and challenges of a dynamic world. Over millions of years, these once small creatures grew into icons of the Mesozoic Era, shaping ecosystems through both ferocity and gentleness. Life had found a new language of expression. Fossil clues reveal the quiet beginnings of this transformation, footprints preserved in ancient mud, bones hidden beneath layers of sediment, and impressions of skin that survived against all odds. These remnants allow science to reconstruct the rise of dinosaurs with awe and precision. They remind us that history is recorded not only in stories but in stone. And in those stones lies the narrative of a species group preparing to dominate Earth for more than 150 million years. By the end of this early phase, dinosaurs had expanded across continents, claiming territories in deserts, forests, coastlines, and river valleys. Their presence reshaped ecosystems, altered food chains, and steered evolution in countless directions. The world had irrevocably changed, and the quiet footsteps of their ancestors had blossomed into a planetary roar. What followed would be the golden age of giants, predators, and plant eaters that pushed life to scales never before seen. The Mesozoic belonged to them now. The Triassic period opened like a hesitant sunrise, its light gentle but filled with promise. Earth was still recovering from its greatest catastrophe, yet its landscapes pulsed with the early rhythms of a renewed life. Deserts stretched across vast interiors, interrupted by winding rivers that nurtured pockets of vegetation. The climate was warm, unpredictable, and constantly shifting, an environment that tested every creature that walked upon it. The planet was rebuilding itself step by step. Across these evolving terrains, early dinosaurs lived side by side with powerful competitors like Rausuchians, creating ecosystems defined by tension and opportunity. Each species carved its place with instinct and adaptation, learning to navigate predators, scarcity, and the unstable climate. The Triassic was a time of experimentation in the history of the Earth, a laboratory where evolution tested new body plans and behaviors. Nothing was guaranteed. Everything was contested, and life thrived in the struggle. In this dynamic world, the supercontinent Pangaea dominated the planet, its colossal landmass stretching from pole to pole. Its interior regions were scorched by heat, while its coasts experienced seasonal monsoons that brought brief moments of abundance. Such extreme contrasts shaped the destinies of species, favoring those that could withstand both drought and flood. The geological eras demonstrate how continents guide evolution, and here, the influence of Pangaea was absolute. Stability was a luxury almost no creature enjoyed. Rivers and floodplains became vital sanctuaries, hosting amphibians, early reptiles, and the ancestors of future giants. These watery corridors supported ecosystems that balanced precariously between feast and famine. Life gathered around them in fragile, persistent communities, weaving food webs that shifted with every seasonal change. Each cycle carved deeper resilience into the species that survived. And in those resilient hearts, evolution found fertile ground. Vegetation began to expand in the form of ferns, horsetails, and conifers, painting Pangaea with the first hints of green stability. These plants-anchored ecosystems attracted herbivores and provided the raw materials for future forests. Their presence softened the world, transforming barren landscapes into living mosaics. Without them, the grand rise of dinosaurs would have lacked the ecological support it needed. Life builds its own foundations, one leaf at a time. Predators ruled these early ecosystems with sharp instincts and relentless hunger. Creatures like Cretaceous and other archosaurs stalked the land, Using muscular bodies and powerful jaws to maintain dominance, their reign pressured prey species to evolve speed, agility, and awareness, driving an evolutionary race that would shape the next 200 million years. Even here, in this ancient crucible, the balance of power was never simple. Each life depended on the wisdom written by survival. Despite these challenges, dinosaurs began to gain subtle advantages. Their upright posture allowed efficient movement, their lungs handled warm air with ease, and their light bones granted agility unmatched by their rivals. These traits helped them persist through crises that weakened or erased competing groups. Such quiet advantages became decisive during environmental upheavals, and the Triassic had no shortage of upheavals waiting in the wings. By the end of the Triassic, Earth faced another wave of volcanic unrest and extreme event that reshaped the climate and pushed many species toward extinction. Yet dinosaurs endured, stepping into the ecological void with strength born from millions of years of preparation. Their rise from survivors to rulers was not an accident. It was the result of persistence, opportunity, and the planet's shifting design. As the Triassic faded, a new world awaited, a world ready for giants. The Jurassic period began with a breath of relief, as if the planet finally exhaled after the volcanic chaos that ended the Triassic. With the breakup of Pangaea underway, the world shifted from harsh extremes to a more balanced climate, warm and humid enough to awaken lush forests and expansive fern prairies. This environmental calm became the cradle of new biological possibilities. Life was no longer merely surviving, it was expanding with confidence. As continents drifted apart, coastlines multiplied and environments diversified, creating ecological niches where evolution could flourish. This fragmentation of land reshaped the history of the Earth, guiding species into isolated regions where they developed unique forms and behaviors. The rhythm of life accelerated, oceans deepened, mountains rose, and winds carried the scent of distant forests. Earth was recreating itself piece by piece, letting its geological eras sculpt ecosystems with gentle hands. This changing world provided the perfect stage for the growth of colossal herbivores, sauropods, towering creatures with long necks, and thunderous steppes roamed floodplains in herds that stretched beyond the horizon. Their bodies were feats of natural engineering, lightweight bones, efficient respiratory systems, and vast digestive chambers capable of processing tough vegetation. Their size wasn't indulgence, it was strategy. And in the Jurassic, strategy meant surviving through abundance. Forest canopies reached upward like green cathedrals, filled with cycads, conifers, and ginkgos that created vast sanctuaries for wildlife. These forests offered shade, oxygen, and endless food sources for both small and gigantic creatures. In their shadows, insects buzzed, early mammals scurried, and predators stalked in silence. The Jurassic landscape was alive with movement and sound, a living symphony conducted by sun, rain, and time. Earth had found its rhythm again. Predators evolved to match the growing scale of herbivores, refining their bodies into models of speed, strength, and precision. Early relatives of Allosaurus learned to hunt in open plains and dense forests, exploiting opportunities created by the sheer size of their prey. Their senses sharpened, their limbs grew powerful, their instinct for survival became artistry. In this era, balance meant constant adaptation. To hunt giants, you had to evolve into something formidable. The oceans, too, underwent a renaissance of life. Marine reptiles like plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs filled the waters with grace and ferocity, while ammonites spiraled through the depths as symbols of the cosmos' intricate design. Coral reefs flourished, glowing like submerged cities that sheltered countless species. These underwater worlds expanded the universe of possibilities, transforming Earth into a planet where life thrived from mountaintops to ocean trenches. With new habitats came new evolutionary experiments. The first true birds appeared, rising from small feathered dinosaurs that had already mastered speed, balance, and agility on land. Feathers, once tools of insulation or display, became wings that lifted them into the sky. This transformation was more than biological. It was poetic. For the first time, descendants of terrestrial reptiles touched the heavens, connecting Earth to the cosmos in a flutter of evolution's brilliance. By the end of the Jurassic, the planet had become a realm of giants, hunters, and pioneers of flight. Each ecosystem pulsed with complexity, shaped by climate, geological movement, and millions of years of adaptation. Dinosaurs ruled the land with majesty. Marine reptiles owned the seas, and early birds claimed the sky. The world was not just alive, it was thriving with intention. The planet marched toward the next era with confidence, ready for the profound changes the Cretaceous would bring. The Cretaceous period opened with a planet already filled with giants, hunters, and lush ecosystems. Yet something unprecedented was about to unfold. Earth's climate grew warmer and more stable, allowing life to expand into every corner with boldness. Forests thickened, coastlines multiplied, and deserts shimmered beneath vast open skies. This stability reshaped the history of the Earth, providing the fertile ground needed for profound biological revolutions. The planet was ready for transformation on an entirely new scale. Among the most extraordinary innovations of this era was the rise of flowering plants. These angiosperms spread like wildfire across the continents, offering fruits, nectar, and dazzling colors that drew insects and animals into new ecological relationships. Their presence accelerated evolutionary change, feeding herbivores with richer energy sources and challenging ecosystems to adapt. The Earth blossomed literally, and this change forever altered the universe of life that covered the planet's surface. Dinosaurs responded to this lush world with remarkable diversity. Titanosaurs grew into some of the largest land animals ever known, walking the Earth with steps that echoed through forests and plains. Horned dinosaurs developed elaborate frills and formidable defenses, while duck-billed dinosaurs mastered the art of communication with resonant crests and calls. Each species interacted with the changing landscapes, shaping and being shaped by flowering worlds. Life had become an intricate dialogue written across continents. Predators, too, ascended to unmatched refinement. Creatures like Tyrannosaurus Rex emerged in the late Cretaceous, their bodies built for power, precision, and dominance. Massive skulls, bone-crushing jaws, and senses sharpened by millions of years of evolution. Their presence reminded every creature that survival in the Mesozoic still demanded awareness and instinct. The balance of power shifted like shadows under the sun, and predators remained pillars of ecological stability. The seas flourished with marine reptiles that moved like fluid shadows. Through blue depths, mosasaurs ruled with unmatched ferocity, while plesiosaurs glided gracefully across underwater plains. Coral reefs sparkled with biodiversity, forming underwater worlds where every niche was filled with life. Oceans had become incredibly dynamic ecosystems, reflecting the planet's long-standing relationship with water as the cradle of existence. Even here, expansion of flowering plants affected everything, feeding rivers that carried nutrients into the sea. As continents drifted further apart, regional ecosystems became increasingly distinct. Isolation sparked creativity and evolution. Some dinosaurs adapted to forested mountains, while others thrived in expansive floodplains or coastal habitats. The geological eras show how drifting land masses rewrite the rules of existence, creating opportunities for new species while challenging old ones. These shifting landscapes formed natural laboratories for profound evolutionary experiments. Earth was sculpting life with deliberate patience. Early mammals quietly diversified beneath the shadows of giants. Though small, they evolved sharper senses, complex behaviors, and unique ecological roles that allowed them to survive in a world dominated by dinosaurs. They found refuge in trees, burrows, and night, carving out lives in the margins of ecosystems. Their story whispered of a future no one could yet imagine. The seeds of tomorrow often grow in silence. By the end of the Cretaceous, Earth reached a peak of biological richness unlike anything before. Flowering plants painted the world in color. Dinosaurs ruled with refined power. Oceans teemed with predators, and birds soared through warm skies. The planet had become a masterpiece of diversity. Yet beneath this thriving world, forces in the cosmos were stirring events that would shape the destiny of life and humanity's understanding of the origin of life itself. The stage was set for an ending as dramatic as the era's rise. By the mid-Cretaceous, Earth had reached an extraordinary level of ecological richness. Forests stretched endlessly, weaving carpets of green across continents that drifted slowly apart. Swamps pulsed with life, deserts shimmered with specialized creatures, and coastlines expanded into intricate mosaics of wetlands and lagoons. This was the planet at its most vibrant, a masterpiece shaped by millions of years of evolution. The history of the Earth had rarely witnessed such harmony between climate, life, and landscape. Flowering plants continued their silent revolution, spreading into every biome with astonishing adaptability. Their blossoms attracted insects in dizzying numbers, establishing co-evolutionary partnerships that reshaped ecosystems from the ground up. Bees, beetles, and butterflies became essential architects of this changing world, pollinating forests that fed herbivores and shaded entire regions. The universe of life grew more intricate with every bloom. Earth glowed with color and purpose. Herbivorous dinosaurs thrived in this abundant world, forming herds that moved like living continents across plains and valleys. Massive sauropods grazed on treetops, reshaping forests with every bite they took. Ceratopsians patrolled their territories with shielded faces and vigilant eyes, while hadrosaurs communicated in deep resonant calls that echoed across river basins. Each group played a role in maintaining and expanding the ecological balance. Life had become a symphony of motion, predators to sharpen their skills in response. Agile dromaeosaurs hunted in coordinated bursts of speed and intelligence, while larger tyrannosaurids dominated with crushing power. These hunters tested the boundaries of adaptation, pushing prey to evolve sharper senses and more complex strategies in nature. Equilibrium is never still, it shifts like tides, demanding constant recalibration. The Mesozoic world thrived because every creature shaped the others in a dance of survival. In the oceans, marine ecosystems exploded with diversity. Mosasaurs cut through deep waters with serpentine grace, while plesiosaurs glided like spectral shadows. Shoals of fish evolved new forms and behaviors, filling coral reefs that sparkled like submerged galaxies. Ammonites drifted through the currents, their spiraled shells reflecting the ancient artistry of evolution. The seas were worlds unto themselves, vast, mysterious, and alive with color and danger. As birds took to the skies with greater mastery, their feathers shimmered with early patterns and hues shaped by natural selection. Some soared above forests in wide arcs. Others darted between branches, hunting insects or gathering seeds. Their presence added another dimension to ecosystems. linking Earth and sky through movement and sound. The future of Earth's aerial life was taking shape, one beat of a wing at a time. Evolution had found poetry in flight. Early mammals continued to adapt in silence, exploring new diets, behaviors, and habitats away from the giants that overshadowed them. They climbed trees, burrowed into soft earth, and foraged under moonlit skies. Their small bodies had big destinies, and though the Mesozoic belonged overwhelmingly to dinosaurs, mammals were quietly preparing for the world that would come after. They were the guardians of potential. By the height of this ecological flourishing, Earth existed in perfect balance, every species, every forest, every coastline contributing to a living structure more complex than any previous era. This was life at its peak, harmonious, diverse, and powerful. Yet beneath all this beauty, time moved forward without mercy. Geological forces never sleep, and cosmic events never wait. The Mesozoic world stood at its summit, unaware that its greatest test was approaching from the stars. Insects, often overlooked in the grand scale of prehistoric life, were among the most influential architects of the Mesozoic world. Their small bodies carried immense ecological power, pollinating plants, recycling nutrients, and weaving invisible threads between species. As flowering plants spread across the continents, insects responded with an explosion of diversity. This partnership transformed the history of the Earth in ways that shaped forests, plains, and entire food webs. The planet's smallest creatures wielded one of its greatest influences. Bees, beetles, and early butterflies formed intricate alliances with blooming plants, becoming essential agents of reproduction. Their movements from flower to flower guided the evolution of colors, scents, and shapes, turning Earth into a vibrant tapestry of coevolution. These interactions rippled through ecosystems, feeding herbivores, nourishing predators, and sustaining birds in the quiet hum of wings. The universe of life found a rhythm it had never known before. Evolution had discovered subtlety. Termites and ants built vast subterranean networks, engineering the soil with precision. Their tunnels aerated the ground, enriched it with nutrients, and provided homes for complex societies that mirrored the structure of modern colonies. Through their hidden labor, these insects shaped landscapes from below, influencing which plants could grow and how ecosystems distributed energy. This underground world was as alive as any forest canopy. Life thrives where cooperation thrives. In tropical regions of the Cretaceous, dragonflies patrolled ancient skies with sharp vision and unmatched agility. Their predatory skills helped control populations of smaller insects, maintaining balance in ecosystems that pulsed with activity. Their presence added motion, tension, and elegance to the atmosphere. Every dart, every glide, every sharp turn demonstrated millions of years of adaptation woven seamlessly into their design. Time had refined them into artists of the air. Insects also played a vital role in decomposition, breaking down fallen leaves, dead wood, and the remains of animals. This process returned essential nutrients to the soil, feeding the roots of ferns, conifers, and flowering plants. Without these cycles of decay and renewal, the Mesozoic world could not have supported the immense herbivores that shaped its landscapes. The history of the Earth is written not only in creation, but in the recycling of life. Insects mastered this craft long before dinosaurs walked the land. Their interactions influenced even the behavior of dinosaurs. Herbivores followed flowering plants across regions, buzzing with pollinators, while predators tracked these herds through territories shaped by insect activity. Insects determined where plants thrived, and plants determined where animals roamed. From the smallest wing beat to the thunder of the sauropod footsteps, everything was connected. The cosmos teaches this lesson endlessly. Scale never diminishes significance. Birds, evolving from small feathered dinosaurs, found abundant food sources in insects, shaping the development of new hunting strategies and ecological roles. Early mammals also relied heavily on insects, forging another layer of dependence within the web of life. Insects became links between Earth, sky, and underground realms. They were the currency of survival in countless interactions. Their influence whispered through every corner of the Mesozoic world. By the height of the Cretaceous, insects had become silent engineers of the planet's biodiversity. Their pollination networks, soil engineering, recycling abilities, and relationships with plants guided the evolution of species across continents. They may not have towered like sauropods or hunted like apex predators, but they sculpted ecosystems with unmatched delicacy. The smallest creatures carried the largest responsibilities, and the Mesozoic thrived because they performed them flawlessly. The oceans of the Mesozoic were worlds unto themselves, vast, shimmering, and filled with creatures that moved like living shadows beneath the waves. While dinosaurs ruled the land, marine reptiles claimed the deep with elegance and power. Warm waters nurtured coral reefs, underwater plains, and open sea ecosystems more diverse than anything the planet had seen before. In these depths, the history of the Earth unfolded with currents, tides, and life composed in fluid symmetry. The sea was a universe forged in motion. Ichthyosaurs swam with the sleek precision of modern dolphins, their bodies sculpted for speed and endurance. They hunted fish and cephalopods with sharp vision and lightning-fast reflexes, ruling open waters with grace. Every flick of their tails carried millions of years of refinement, honed by extreme events that shaped marine evolution. These creatures were masterpieces of adaptation, living proof that the cosmos rewards those who embrace change. Their presence defined the early Mesozoic seas. Plesiosaurs glided with long, flexible necks and powerful flippers, moving through the water like ancient spirits. Some species hunted small fish near shorelines, while others traveled deep into coastal waters searching for prey. Their anatomy remains one of the most extraordinary designs in the geological eras, neither entirely built for speed nor stealth, but for balance and endurance. In their slow, steady movements, one could sense the patience of evolution unfolding. Later in the Cretaceous, mosasaurs emerged as apex predators, dominating the oceans with their serpentine bodies and immense jaws. Their rise forever changed marine ecosystems, pushing other species to adapt or retreat. They hunted ammonites, turtles, and even other marine reptiles, leaving echoes of their power in the fossil record. These giants moved with force that matched the vastness of the seas themselves. Earth's oceans had found new rulers, and they ruled with unchallenged authority. Coral reefs flourished in warm, clear waters, acting as underwater cities teeming with fish, crustaceans, and invertebrates. Their delicate structures hosted endless interactions that shaped life on a microscopic and planetary scale. The colors of these reefs shimmered through sunlight that filtered gently from above, turning the ocean into a mosaic of ecosystems layered in complexity. Even then, reefs were among the most vibrant habitats on Earth. Life thrives where shelter and opportunity unite. Ammonites drifted through the seas like spiral jewels, their shells marking the passage of time with intricate patterns. They adapted continuously to changing climates and shifting ocean chemistry, becoming key indicators for modern science studying the history of the Earth. Their presence in every ocean made them silent witnesses to the Mesozoic's unfolding drama. Each coil told a story of resilience and transformation across millions of years. Fish evolved rapidly in these energetic environments, shaping schools that moved like silver storms across the water. predator-prey dynamics grew increasingly complex, forging strategies still seen in modern marine life. From shallow lagoons to deep currents, fish contributed to the ocean's pulse with constant motion. They were essential threads in a web of life that stretched from the smallest plankton to the largest marine reptiles. The sea was alive with purpose. By the end of the Mesozoic, Earth's oceans held some of the most dynamic ecosystems the planet had ever known. Marine reptiles soared, dove, and hunted with breathtaking refinement. Coral reefs glittered like underwater galaxies. Ammonites and fish filled every niche. These ancient seas were not simply habitats, they were engines of evolution. The planet flourished from their depths, and their legacy would echo through the rise of mammals, the shaping of continents, and the future of life itself. The skies of the Mesozoic transformed into arenas of innovation, where life experimented with shapes, feathers, and the delicate balance between gravity and possibility. As forests expanded and insects flourished, new opportunities opened above the treetops. Early feathered dinosaurs had already begun to explore gliding. And now the air itself became a frontier waiting to be conquered. The history of the Earth was about to witness one of evolution's most elegant revolutions. The sky called and life answered. The earliest birds emerged from small, agile predators carrying ancestral traits refined over millions of years. Their feathers, once tools for insulation or display, evolved into aerodynamic structures capable of catching the wind. Skeletons grew lighter, wings lengthened, and tails shortened into stabilizing fans. These changes were incremental but relentless. Flight was not an accident, it was the result of countless adaptations converging with purpose. Evolution had found its poetry. Archaeopteryx, one of the earliest known birds, glided over Jurassic landscapes with a blend of reptilian and avian features. Sharp claws, teeth-lined jaws, and long feathers made it both familiar and unfamiliar. A creature bridging eras. It hunted insects among cycads and conifer branches, navigating forests bathed in warm light. With every beat of its wings, it carried the weight of transition between worlds. The emergence of flight reshaped not only anatomy but imagination. As the Cretaceous unfolded, birds diversified dramatically. Some soared across coastal winds with wide wings built for endurance. Others darted through forest canopies with incredible agility. Their diets changed some hunted insects, while others fed on seeds created by flowering plants spreading across continents. This expansion of behaviors mirrored the expansion of the atmosphere's possibilities. The sky was no longer empty. It was alive with motion and sound. Pterosaurs, the ancient rulers of the air, reached their greatest diversity during this time, from tiny species the size of sparrows to giants as large as small aircraft. They mastered flight long before birds appeared. Their wings membranes stretched between elongated fingers were marvels of engineering, shaped by natural selection. They hunted fish, scavenged coastlines, and filled the skies with silhouettes that seemed carved from the cosmos itself. They were architects of aerial ecosystems. These flying creatures helped shape plant evolution by carrying seeds, spreading spores, and influencing where forests expanded. Their presence also guided the behavior of predators and herbivores on the ground, who responded to the patterns of movement above. The sky connected all realms, earth, forest, and see through the creatures that soared between them. In the delicate flutter of wings, the universe of life found new ways to interact. Feathers evolved beyond necessity, becoming tools of display, communication, and survival. Colors began to appear, pigments and patterns that sent signals to potential mates or warned rivals of danger. These traits strengthened social structures and shaped evolutionary paths in ways only aerial life could reveal. The sky had become a stage, and flight offered endless ways to perform. Beauty became a force of survival. By the height of the Cretaceous, the Mesozoic sky was an ecosystem as complex as any ocean or forest. Birds refined flight with precision, pterosaurs dominated open spaces with grace, and insects filled the atmosphere with life. The air had become a realm of its own, sculpted by evolution's steady hand. In the freedom of flight, Earth expressed its creativity, connecting past and future through wings that carried stories high above the ancient world. Herbivorous dinosaurs were more than gentle giants grazing across prehistoric plains. They were living engines that shaped entire ecosystems. Their bodies evolved in direct conversation with the plants that fed them, forming a partnership that spanned millions of years. As vegetation diversified during the Mesozoic, herbivores responded with innovations in size, digestion, and behavior. This relationship became one of the most influential forces in the history of the Earth. Life grows where demand meets possibility. Sauropods, the towering icons of the Jurassic and Cretaceous, developed necks long enough to sweep through multiple layers of vegetation without moving their massive bodies. Their bones were lightweight but strong, filled with their sacs that allowed them to grow to unimaginable sizes. Their stomachs were powerful chambers capable of processing ferns, conifers, and later, flowering plants. Each step they took shaped landscapes, opening forests and redistributing nutrients. They were gardeners of an ancient world. Hadrosaurs, known for their duck-billed faces and elaborate crests, became some of the most successful herbivores of the Cretaceous. Their jaws evolved intricate grinding mechanisms, allowing them to break down tough plant material with surprising efficiency. Some species lived in herds that stretched across entire valleys, communicating through deep resonant calls that echoed among flowering forests. Their social behavior revealed a level of coordination rarely seen in giant reptiles. They were masters of adaptation. Ceratopsians emerged with frills and horns that became symbols of defense, communication, and evolutionary creativity. These features varied dramatically among species, suggesting roles in display, mating, and protection. Their sturdy bodies and powerful jaws enabled them to thrive in regions dominated by cycads and conifers, as well as newer angiosperm-rich landscapes. They stood as reminders that evolution rarely chooses subtlety when boldness can succeed. Their silhouettes carved the horizon with pride. Armored dinosaurs, ankylosaurs, and stegosaurs built fortresses with bone plates, spikes, and defensive strategies honed by millions of years of predation pressure. Ankylosaurs walked like living tanks, their tails equipped with clubs capable of fracturing predator bones. Stegosaurs carried iconic plates along their backs, possibly used for thermoregulation or display. These designs were artistic expressions of survival in a world filled with danger. In defense, evolution found beauty. The rise of flowering plants reshaped herbivore diets, offering new forms of nourishment and contributing to the rapid spread of specialized behaviors. With richer food sources came new digestive challenges, leading to more complex stomachs, stronger jaw mechanics, and shifts in body structure. These changes influenced migration patterns, herd sizes, and predator-prey relationships. Life was constantly negotiating its place in the expanding universe of ecosystems. Adaptation became the language of survival. Herbivores also shaped predator evolution by forcing hunters to develop speed, intelligence, and precision. Their size and defensive adaptations created ecological arms races that pushed species to new extremes. For every towering sauropod, a cunning predator evolved sharper strategies. For every armored tank-like herbivore, another species refined its approach. These relationships sculpted the Mesozoic world with tension and balance. Ecosystems thrive on dynamic equilibrium. By the end of the Cretaceous, herbivorous dinosaurs had reached peak diversity and sophistication. It filled forests, plains, mountain valleys, and coastal regions, forming the backbone of Mesozoic food webs. Their partnership with plants fueled the expansion of life across the globe, influencing everything from soil composition to climate patterns. These giants were not passive consumers. They were architects of their era. The world they built would echo long after their footsteps faded. Predatory dinosaurs were not just symbols of ferocity. They were refined products of millions of years of adaptation. Each muscle, each claw, each tooth carried the imprint of ancient pressures, shaping their destiny. As herbivores diversified and ecosystems expanded, predators evolved in parallel, sharpening their abilities to navigate a world filled with opportunity and danger. In the history of the Earth, few creatures have embodied the balance between instinct and innovation as perfectly as Mesozoic. Hunters, early carnivores of the Triassic, laid the foundation for future giants, experimenting with body plans built for speed and endurance, lean frames, long tails for balance, and strong hind limbs allowed them to chase prey across volcanic plains and forested valleys. Their evolution mirrored the planet's recovery, gradual, determined, and relentless. Survival in these early landscapes demanded agility above all else. The world favored those who could move swiftly and think quickly. By the Jurassic, predators like Allosaurus ruled floodplains and open woodlands with astonishing power. Their jaws carried serrated teeth capable of slicing through flesh, while their binocular vision gave them precise depth perception. These hunters relied on coordinated bursts of movement, reading the environment with practiced intuition. Their success was not brutality alone, it was strategy shaped by countless encounters. They were sculpted by the challenges of ecosystems still in formation. As the Cretaceous unfolded, predator evolution reached new heights. Tyrannosaurids emerged as apex hunters with massive skulls, crushing bites, and legs built for stability rather than pure speed. Their senses sharpened dramatically keen eyesight, acute hearing, and strong olfactory abilities allowed them to detect prey across great distances. They were masters of efficiency, their entire anatomy devoted to powerful, decisive strikes. Evolution had produced a predator of extraordinary refinement. Smaller predators, such as dromaeosaurs, evolved different strategies. Their lightweight bodies, sickle-shaped claws, and sharp intelligence made them agile and coordinated hunters. Some species may have relied on pack behavior, using teamwork to target prey larger than themselves. Their feathers added balance, insulation, and display functions, hinting at a future where dinosaurs would take to the skies. These creatures demonstrated that power comes in many forms, not only size. Predators also played vital ecological roles by maintaining balance in ecosystems. They prevented herbivore populations from overwhelming vegetation, kept scavenger networks active, and influenced migration patterns. Their presence forced prey species to evolve sharper senses, stronger muscles, and protective adaptations. This evolutionary pressure shaped diverse behaviors across countless species. Life grows more complex where competition thrives. Climate changes, continental drift, and the spread of flowering plants reshaped predator habits and movement patterns. Forests offered ambush opportunities, while open plains required endurance and coordination. Each region demanded its own evolutionary responses, hunters adapted to deserts, mountains, river valleys, and coastal environments, carving ecological niches with precision. Earth itself guided their transformation, its shifting landscapes writing new chapters of survival. By the end of the Cretaceous, Mesozoic predators stood as evolutionary masterpieces, from towering tyrannosaurs to swift, feathered dromaeosaurs. They embodied a spectrum of strategies that defined the era's ecological complexity. Their rise shaped every corner of the Mesozoic world, influencing how plants grew, how herbivores migrated, and how ecosystems functioned. These hunters were more than symbols of power. They were essential forces in the universe of life, and their legacy would echo long after their era ended. While dinosaurs ruled the land with thunderous steps, mammals lived in the quiet spaces of the Mesozoic, small, alert, and endlessly adaptable. Their presence often goes unnoticed. When we think of this era, yet they represent one of the most crucial evolutionary lineages in the history of the Earth. These early mammals navigated a world dominated by giants with intelligence, agility, and keen senses. Their survival was not luck, it was strategy. The first mammals emerged during the late Triassic, evolving from synapsid ancestors that had already learned to cope with environmental extremes. These tiny creatures carried traits that would one day define an entire class. Warm-blooded bodies, fur for insulation, and highly sensitive hearing, living mostly in the shadows of forests, underbrush, and caves. They avoided direct competition with large reptiles. The world was microscopic compared to the vast landscapes ruled by dinosaurs. It was no less dynamic. During the Jurassic, mammals diversified quietly, experimenting with different diets and behaviors. Some became insectivores, using sharp teeth and quick reflexes to hunt among roots and fallen leaves. Others developed gliding membranes or burrowing adaptations that allowed them to escape predators. Their biology reflected a life of constant vigilance. In a world of giants, survival meant staying unseen, unheard, and often nocturnal. Darkness became their greatest ally. Early mammals evolved complex brains relative to their size, granting them a cognitive advantage over many contemporaries. Their intelligence shaped behaviors that helped them navigate risks, locate food, and care for their young with increased precision. These creatures exhibited strong parental instincts, investing heavily in offspring survival. Such investment laid the foundation for future evolutionary success. Small bodies housed big potential. Plants reshaped their diets as flowering species spread across the Cretaceous. Seeds, fruits, and insects attracted mammals into new feeding niches that dinosaurs rarely occupied. This diversification allowed them to thrive in climates and regions where large predators had limited influence. Their adaptability created a network of ecological roles that strengthened ecosystems from within. The universe of life often evolves quietly before it evolves loudly. As dinosaurs grew larger, mammals responded by specializing even further. Some species remained tiny insect hunters. Others became agile climbers able to navigate the new three-dimensional spaces created by flowering forests. This vertical expansion gave them access to food sources unreachable by ground-dwelling creatures. Each adaptation represented a subtle victory, a reminder that evolution favors persistence as much as strength. Continental drift separated populations, giving rise to new species shaped by isolation. These mammals braved shifting climates, rising temperatures, and changing vegetation with resilience that foreshadowed their future dominance. Their ability to thrive in diverse environments made them one of Earth's most effective survivors. While giants roamed the plains, the future was quietly forming in burrows and treetops. By the end of the Cretaceous, Mammals had woven themselves into every ecosystem despite their small size and discrete existence. Were the silent survivors, the unnoticed architects of tomorrow. When the Mesozoic world faced its final moments, these creatures carried with them the tools needed to rebuild the planet's story. Their era had not yet begun, but their destiny was already undeniable. In the shadows, the future waited. Throughout the Mesozoic, Earth's continents were anything but still. Beneath the crust, tectonic plates drifted, collided, and tore apart, guiding the fate of life across millions of years. This slow geological dance shaped coastlines, carved mountain chains, and opened vast ocean basins. The history of the Earth is written in these movements, monumental shifts that influence climate, evolution, and ecosystems. The world lived in constant transformation, even when the surface appeared calm. At the dawn of the Mesozoic, Pangaea stood as a colossal landmass stretching from pole to pole. Its size created extreme climates, dry interiors, violent monsoons along coasts, and deserts that spanned horizons. Such environments tested every creature that roamed them. Life responded with resilience, evolving adaptations for heat, drought, and seasonal flooding. Pangaea was both a challenge and an opportunity. It shaped early dinosaurs, reptiles, and plants with an unforgiving hand. As the Jurassic began, cracks spread across Pangaea like fractures in ancient stone. Molten rock rose from the mantle, ripping the supercontinent into pieces that would become future continents. This breakup altered ocean circulation, bringing moisture into previously arid regions and creating climates filled with warmth and stability. Lush forests blossomed across new coastlines. The geological eras remind us that landscapes dictate possibility, and Earth was opening new doors for evolution. The formation of the Atlantic Ocean marked one of the most important transitions of the era. Water flowed into widening rifts, creating ecosystems that invited marine reptiles, ammonites, and coral reefs to flourish. Coastlines multiplied, turning the world into a mosaic of habitats. Each wave carried nutrients that fed life. Each current guided migrations shaped by shifting seas. The planet's heartbeat pulsed through these expanding waters. Continental drift also isolated populations of dinosaurs, plants, and insects, forcing them to evolve along different trajectories. Species that once lived together diverged into unique lineages shaped by local climates, predators, and vegetation. This isolation sparked explosive diversity, especially in the Cretaceous. The universe of life thrived on separation as much as connection. Evolution works through distance as beautifully as through unity. Mountains rose where plates collided, ranges that affected rainfall, temperature, and wind patterns across vast territories. These geological changes reshaped migration routes, pushing herbivores and predators into new environments. Plants adapted to higher altitudes and shifting soils. Every uplift of rock echoed through ecosystems. Even the smallest geological tremor carried consequences felt by entire species. Volcanic activity played a silent, powerful role throughout the Mesozoic. Lava flows enriched soils, while eruptions released gases that influenced global temperatures. These events sometimes triggered ecological shifts, favoring species that could withstand change. The Earth was not passive. It was an active participant in the story of life. Extinctions and expansions alike were tied to its internal rhythms. By the end of the Cretaceous, Earth's continents resembled the early outlines of a world we know today. North America drifted westward, Africa separated from South America, India surged toward Asia, and Australia began its slow journey southward. This continental rearrangement prepared the stage for the next geological era, The Mesozoic world had been sculpted by fire, pressure, and motion forces that shaped ecosystems, biodiversity, and the future of life on the planet. The Mesozoic climate was a vast, living force shifting, warming, and molding life. With every passing million years, Earth breathed differently during this era. Wrapped in an atmosphere rich with carbon dioxide and warmth, this climate created expansive forests, fertile coastlines, and environments where reptiles, plants, and insects flourished with astonishing diversity. The history of the Earth is inseparable from its climate. For atmosphere guides destiny as surely as evolution shapes form. At the Triassic dawn, temperatures soared across Pangaea's interior, creating arid deserts broken only by seasonal rains. Monsoons swept coastlines with dramatic intensity, feeding rivers that became lifelines for early ecosystems. Creatures adapted to withstand heat, drought, and unpredictable storms. This was a world of contrasts, harsh yet full of possibility. Survival required flexibility, and evolution responded accordingly. Life learned to endure before it learned to expand. As the Jurassic emerged, Earth's continents drifted apart, inviting moisture into newly formed coastlines. Warm, humid air spread across regions once dominated by dryness, nurturing lush forests and diverse plant life. Ferns, conifers, and cycads stretched into growing canopies, creating habitats that fed herbivores and shaped predator behavior. Oceans warmed, reefs flourished, and clouds moved across continents with rhythms that felt almost orchestrated. The planet was relaxing into a new equilibrium. Carbon dioxide levels remained high, creating a greenhouse effect that kept global temperatures elevated. This warmth helped reptiles thrive, since their metabolisms favored hot climates, allowing them to inhabit vast territories. The geological eras show us that Earth's atmosphere has always been dynamic, shifting between extremes that sculpt life's direction. During the Jurassic, the world found a rare moment of climatic stability. That stability fueled giants. The Cretaceous pushed these changes even further, with flowering plants spreading across continents. Transpiration increased the release of water vapor from leaves that fed clouds and rainfall. This process subtly reshaped local climates, creating micro-habitats filled with unique opportunities for insects, mammals, and herbivores. Forests grew denser, lands expanded, and coastal zones multiplied. Earth had become a patchwork of vibrant ecosystems stitched together by climate. Sea levels rose as global temperatures warmed, flooding continental margins and creating shallow seas that supported thriving marine life. These vast inland waters moderated temperatures, creating mild climates over large regions. Warm oceans acted as engines of biodiversity, feeding coral reefs, fish populations, and marine reptiles. The planet's warmth was not a temporary phase, it was a defining feature of the Mesozoic atmosphere. Life adjusted to its embrace. At the poles, ice was almost non-existent. Instead, temperate forests thrived near high latitudes. Home to dinosaurs adapted to long periods of daylight and seasonal shifts. These regions remind us that climate is never uniform. Its variations create evolutionary puzzles that life must solve. Dinosaurs living near polar regions developed unique behaviors, perhaps migrating or slowing down during darker months. Even at the edges of the world, life persisted. By the end of the Cretaceous, Earth's climate reached a point of extraordinary balance, warm, stable, and generous. This environment allowed ecosystems to flourish at unprecedented scales. But such balance was fragile. Deep beneath the surface, volcanic forces stirred, and far beyond the skies, An event was brewing in the cosmos that would bring this long era of warmth to a sudden end. The atmosphere had nurtured giants. It would also witness their fall. As the late Cretaceous unfolded, the Mesozoic world reached a level of biological richness unmatched in the history of the Earth. Forests of flowering plants blanketed entire continents. Rivers carved intricate networks across fertile plains, and oceans teemed with life from surface to abyss. Dinosaurs dominated land with astonishing diversity. Birds filled the skies, and marine reptiles ruled shimmering coasts. This was the peak the world at its fullest expression. Yet beneath this beauty, the clock of deep time ticked steadily toward change. Continents had drifted far from their Triassic origins, creating unique regional ecosystems shaped by isolation. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Africa each developed distinct species reflecting millions of years of evolutionary separation. These environments fostered innovation, new predators, new herbivores, and new ecological roles. The universe of life responded to Earth's shifting design with creativity and resilience. Diversity was the greatest strength of the era. Herbivores lived in thriving herds that spanned entire landscapes. Titanosaurs roamed warm plains with thunderous steps. Hadrosaurs communicated with reverberating calls. And ceratopsians defended their territories with horns, and frills evolved through centuries of adaptation. These massive creatures shaped the environment with every bite, every migration, every gathering. Their presence sustained predators, fertilized soil, and influenced plant evolution. They were the pulse of the land. Predatory dinosaurs reached peak refinement as well. Tyrannosaurus rex, with its immense skull and devastating bite force, ruled the ecosystems of what is now Western North America. In Asia, swift dromaeosaurs hunted with precision, using intelligence and agility to secure prey. Raptors, tyrannosaurs, and abelisaurids pushed the boundaries of predatory evolution. These hunters upheld balance within ecosystems where every creature played a critical role. Power alone was not enough, strategy mattered. Oceans mirrored this richness. Mosasaurs patrolled deep waters with serpentine grace. Plesiosaurs hunted along continental shelves, and schools of fish-filled coral reefs with shimmering movement. Ammonites drifted in spirals across the seas, marking time with each generation. Warm currents circulated nutrients that fueled productivity at every level. Marine ecosystems thrived in interconnected cycles of life, death, and renewal. The sea was a world in constant motion. Birds evolved into countless forms, some small and swift, others large and robust. Each adapted to different environments. Feathers grew more diverse, reflecting colors and patterns shaped by natural selection. Insects continued to support forests through pollination, providing food for both birds and mammals. The sky pulsed with life just as richly as forests and oceans. The atmosphere had become a realm of possibility. Small mammals explored niches untouched by dinosaurs, developing sharper senses, varied diets, and behaviors that favored survival in the shadows. They occupied trees, burrows, and night environments. Their story whispered of a future still hidden in the flow of deep time, a future waiting for its moment. The Mesozoic belonged to dinosaurs, but mammals were quietly crafting their legacy. The seeds of the next era were already in place, yet all this richness stood on fragile ground. Climate remained warm and stable. Volcanic activity stirred beneath the crust, and the continents continued to shift. Far beyond Earth's skies, an object moved silently through the cosmos, its path intersecting with the planet's future. The Mesozoic world did not sense the coming storm. Life danced at its peak. unaware that the next chapter would begin with a single catastrophic moment, one that would mark the end of giants. 66 million years ago, the Mesozoic world woke as it always had under warm skies, surrounded by thriving forests, and filled with the movement of creatures at the height of their evolution. Herds grazed, predators hunted, birds soared, and insects hummed through blooming vegetation. Nothing in this vibrant planet hinted at the catastrophe approaching from the cosmos. The history of the Earth is shaped by quiet mornings that precede extraordinary change. This was one of them, far above the atmosphere. An asteroid the size of a mountain raced toward the planet. With unimaginable force, it had drifted silently through the universe for ages, unaware of the role it was about to play. As it neared Earth, it entered the fabric of deep time as a messenger of transformation. The atmosphere glowed with heat as it tore through the sky in seconds. A calm world became a canvas for cosmic violence when the asteroid struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The explosion unleashed energy equal to billions of atomic bombs. Forests vaporized, oceans rose in colossal waves, and shockwaves raced across continents at supersonic speed. The impact crater, more than 100 kilometers wide, marked the exact moment the Mesozoic Era began to end. This extreme event altered the planet instantly, reshaping ecosystems in a single breath of destruction. Wildfires ignited across continents, turning forests into seas of flame. Ash darkened the skies, blocking sunlight and plunging the planet into a prolonged winter. Plants failed to photosynthesize, herbivores struggled for food, and predators faced starvation. This chain reaction collapsed food webs that had taken millions of years to form. Life was pushed to the edge, navigating uncertainty in a world turned unfamiliar. The universe had rewritten Earth's destiny in minutes. Ocean ecosystems suffered beneath heavy clouds of debris. Temperatures dropped, disrupting currents that sustained marine life. Plankton populations, the foundation of oceanic food chains, collapsed, triggering further extinctions. Marine reptiles, ammonites, and countless species disappeared as the seas became sites of silence and loss. The impact's reach extended from the highest mountains to the deepest trenches. No realm escaped its consequences. Dinosaurs, the dominant rulers of the Mesozoic, faced their final hours as ecosystems unraveled around them. Large herbivores lacked vegetation to sustain their massive bodies, while predators lost prey in rapid succession. Small creatures sought shelter in burrows and forests, clinging to survival. The fall of dinosaurs was not immediate, but inevitable, shaped by shifting climates, darkness, and hunger. Their era was ending, not by weakness, but by circumstance beyond any species' control. Yet even in the heart of devastation, life showed its resilience. Birds, descendants of small feathered dinosaurs, survived by adapting to changing environments. Mammals endured through flexibility, underground refuge, and diverse diets. Plants capable of withstanding low light slowly reclaimed the land. The planet whispered the same ancient truth. Destruction is always followed by renewal. End of one world is the beginning of another. When the skies finally cleared and sunlight returned, Earth looked nothing like the world that existed before the impact. But within its altered landscapes lay opportunity. The fall of giants opened ecological spaces for mammals to rise and reshape the future. The Mesozoic had ended. Its legacy lived on in every feather, every fossil, every echo of life that persisted. In deep time, endings are transformations. The story of Earth was ready for its next chapter. The Mesozoic Era may have ended 66 million years ago, but its lessons continue to shape the world beneath our feet and the sky above our heads. Every forest that rises, Every coastline that shifts, every species that adapts carries the imprint of giants that walked this planet long before humanity even existed. Understanding their story is more than knowledge, it's a reminder that Earth is alive, ever-changing, and always teaching those willing to listen. What you witnessed here today isn't just ancient history, it's a call to pay attention to the forces that still sculpt our future: climate, time, extinction. Rebirth, these themes didn't begin with us, and they won't end with us. Our planet has survived cosmic impacts, global storms, drifting continents, and the fall of entire worlds. The question now is, what will we do with the responsibility of being the newest chapter in this long, fragile saga? When you look at a bird, can you see the shadow of the dinosaurs that once ruled the Earth? When you feel the warmth of the sun, can you sense the ancient climates that shaped this world? When you walk through a forest, can you imagine the first flowering plants that transformed the planet? Forever, these connections reveal who we are and who we might become. If the story of the Mesozoic taught us anything, it's that life adapts, life endures, and life finds a way to rise from the edge of destruction. Let that truth guide how you move through the world. Let it shape the choices you make for your own future and for the planet that still carries the scars and miracles of deep time. Now I invite you to continue this journey with us. Leave your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you most? What questions still echo in your mind? And what other eras of Earth's history would you like to explore next? Make sure to subscribe to Chronicles of Earth and activate notifications so you never miss the next chapter of our planet's astonishing story. As Carl Sagan once said, "We're a way for the cosmos to know itself, and through Earth's past, we uncover the truth of our own existence." The story continues, and we continue with it.